Okay, so I've finally got the gearbox back together. Need a little bit of help in doing so, but ended up being a bit of a two-man job really, in order to line up the cog on the lay shaft with the cog on the main shaft here, and then drop it on. Had to heat up the bearing here so that would fit over the end of the lay shaft too. So yeah, it was a bit touch and go, but we managed to do it. The only thing I've noticed is, and I don't know if this is going to be an issue or not, is this synchromesh unit, which was new. I dropped it on the floor and you can see there are some dents there, and it's just there that it's got a little bit of a bow to it. And I don't know, it looks quite minor, but I reckon I can see some movement there. And I don't know whether that's an issue or not. I think I can definitely see some movement. Just trying to do it so the camera doesn't move. I need to seek some advice on that. But otherwise it's together and it's late. And I suppose, I don't know, am I satisfied or happy about it? I mean, it's annoying that I did so much damage. I've got new bearings at the front now, having damaged those, which were also new. And this is troubling. I'm a bit worried about that because they're expensive, and I don't know whether that's an issue now that it's in and got a bit of a bow to it. I'll have to find out. So this is with third gear engaged, and I'm just going to rotate the So I've got as far as I can today really with the transfer case. I decided not to replace all of the shims and all of the bearings that came in the kit, because I know that this transfer case and the gearbox in fact were a replace unit on the car anyway. It would have been a good few years ago, but just taking the transfer case apart, the bearings are absolutely solid, there's no play whatsoever. The only one I did in fact change was this one here, in here, put a new oil seal in. Of course I'll do all the oil seals, yes, I've done that, put new seals in here and in here. I've got to find out the torque wrench settings for these, but I think they're just nipped tight, so that's what I've done. Put new O-rings in here, new O-ring in here. Got to get new clips for this. But I've painted all the bits, you know, black again. Just going to reuse the old castle nut here. And yeah, everything seems pretty good. The only thing that I noticed, which is why these these shafts, the ends of these shafts are a bit rusted is because there are holes. You can see that hole in here. I've circled the holes there and there, and I can't seem to find a new one of these on the internet. Nobody supplies them, or not that I can find, so I might have to repair this. I tried to repair it, and of course the welding just went straight through because it's so thin. So anyway, that was the only thing that stops me from finishing it. Over here I've painted the four-wheel drive lever, or the four-wheel drive lever, and yeah, pretty happy with that. The next thing is to go back to this gearbox, having got it all together and all looking pretty good. I've got to take it all apart again, which is a real pain because the second, third synchro mesh that I dropped isn't true on the cone inside on the main shaft, so it's warped, which I've been told will cause problems later on. So either I'm going to reuse the old one, which I think is in pretty good condition, or buy a new one. They're about £70, I think, so they're not cheap. It's just really unfortunate when I took it apart the second time, when I messed it up the first time. It fell out onto the concrete floor. It wasn't very high, about table height, but it fell with a real crash, and it has dented it, or it's bent it. Anyway, so there we are. That's going to be the next job for next time. I've just fitted this cog here, these two cogs, which is one section. It joins the gearbox with the transfer case, and it requires the reconditioning pack that I got from Synchro Gearboxes comes with new shims, which is great because these ones here were just absolutely knackered. You can see they're totally scored, and then when that happens, this cog begins to have a little bit of play in it, and it just creates a loud gearbox. It already had a very thin shim in there originally, which was fine, and when I put the two new shims in, the thicker ones, which have a steel on one side and a copper coating on the other, I think I put the copper coating looking inwards. I hope that's right. But I also used the shim again, and when I use the shim, it's a very tight fit, but actually it has the required 4/1000 of an inch clearance. So I got the feeler gauge and put it in here, and it just sort of bit, so that's perfect.